I decided to go to university because I wanted to further my education in something that I loved, and I wanted to make sure that I had the capabilities of moving forward and getting the employment that I wanted. And it's also very, very much so just expected of you when you live in the south of Canada, and it's just much, there's a lot riding on it, and it matters from when you're in high school. So it's just kind of one of those things that you kind of just do, and it shouldn't really be that way, but it's the way a lot of Southerners think these days. Well, that's actually quite a funny question because I'm going into my second year of university right now, and I've already been in 3 different programs. I've been in the Algonquin College Business Administration program. I was in that for a year, and then I switched into Aboriginal Studies at Carleton, and I was also in history at Ottawa. But the way I came about it was that at first I was really unsure about history, and I was unsure about being able to find a job in that field. And at the end of the day, I'm going back into history this year. So you really do have to follow your heart and follow what your passion is, because if you don't have any passion, you're not going to have a work ethic. That would definitely be the advice. Just definitely follow what your head says and what you find isn't work, what you find fun, what you find interesting, and what you find you're going to be able to work on in 20 years. I don't have any expectations going in, because if you have your expectations high, they might get crushed. If you have your expectations low, then it's great, but you really don't want to go in with a preconceived notion of what it's going to be like until you actually experience it. And when you actually experience it like that, you're going to have a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable experience. Well, first you got to look at how much money you're making, what your income is, and then you have to look at how much money you're spending, and then you have to kind of decide on what's more important. Is it more important to go to the movies on a Friday night, or is it more important to have lunch on a Wednesday on campus? So it's one of those things where it's really, it is up to you, but you should have a system in place that you stick to the system, because everything always works better when you're in a routine. So just like the money, you got to look at what you have and what you have to do. So you definitely have to look at your schedule, your school schedule, your class schedule, where your classes are. You got to look at your work schedule if you're working, and your volunteer schedule if you're volunteering, and just make sure that they don't coincide. And basically, you just want to make sure that if you have a due date, you do things before the due date and not the day before. We've all done it, but it's not really the best way to go. So like I just said, the due date thing. If you get to the next day with you have a 20-page paper due the next day and you only have 10 pages done, the amount of stress you're going to feel in that day is just completely futile. Like, you don't need to feel that. You don't need to make yourself feel that. So you need to manage your time appropriately so that you work on it an hour a day for the month leading up to it, instead of working 12 hours the night before.
How can you find help?
There are a lot of resources for young Inuit on campus, especially here at Carleton. There's the Aboriginal centers, there's the friendship centers, there's a lot of mentors, and normally if you just sit down beside somebody in class and say hello and introduce yourself, normally people are very friendly. So like I just mentioned, the Aboriginal centers are very good support. Almost every campus has mentoring available to them, not only first-year students, but fourth-year students. It's always good to go see your TA. It's always good to introduce yourself to your prof. And there are a lot of resources available on campus, like labs, computer labs, obviously the library, and once again, the Aboriginal Resource Center. I do get homesick, and it's kind of hard to live a normal life when you're trying to understand what you're doing, trying to understand that you're going to get an education, but at the same time you're distancing yourself from your culture and from where you're from. So sometimes it's a bit hard to come to terms with things, but at the end of the day, it's your education that matters, because you can always go back to your education, but your culture will always be there no matter what. Living with roommates is probably one of the biggest experiences you'll have over the course of your university career. You can get good roommates who are awesome, not a worry, you don't even have to think about it. And then you have other roommates who are going to drive you off the wall. You're going to want to kick them out. You're going to want to move out. But at the end of the day, you got to stay where you are. And if that's where you got your rent, that's where you got to do. Cooking normally fits in with a bunch of craft dinner and some toast. But at the end of the day, you should definitely get some good vegetables and some good groceries. Because you can cook one good meal and that'll last you one good serving and that'll last you 3 servings. So instead of getting that Tim Hortons breakfast sandwich on the way in, just make yourself some toast and some bread. It's opened my eyes, and the internship has given me a lot of opportunities to expose myself to different situations. So I'm very much so myself personally. I lean towards history and political science and more of the writing papers and stuff like that. But being in the environment department, I got to see a lot of actual research being done in the north, and that it's not only just specifically scientific research, but also just traditional knowledge research, education research, and social development research as well. So it really broadened my perspective on things and may have broadened my appetite for education.